Hello everybody, thank you for clicking on the Rangers Rabble EPL show, which I've made available on YouTube. It is audio only, as most of our Patreon stuff is audio only. If you fancy joining the Rangers Rabble Patreon, it's £2 a month for loads of extra content. You're helping to support the Rangers Rabble in our bid to become a massive part of Rangers fan media. The link is in the description. Like I say, it's £2 a month for loads of extra content. You've got the best of the rest. You've got the greatest Rangers shirts. You've got the EPL show. We're looking at bringing in an NBA show, an NFL show, and also just before we get into the video, lately we've been getting so many more likes. If you can like the video, it goes a massive way to sharing it. And of course, if you haven't already, then please do subscribe. So I'll let you get on with the video, the EPL show. If you, like I say, if you like it and you fancy subscribing to Patreon, it's £2 a month, so go ahead and do that. Thank you and enjoy it.
Hi there, this is another episode of EPL Review, and today join me again, as usual, is Cammy. How you doing?
Very good, mate. Looking forward to this.
we always say that. Then we go through the games and it's like, oh no, this game again. I'm just going to go through a Sky Sports list. So we'll start with Man United Everton game. I watched half the game before I went to the football on a Saturday afternoon. Thought United started okay. Thought Everton came into the game really well. But watching the highlights, Everton probably deserved a draw, if not more. Man United missed a few chances, but they just don't look very convincing at the moment. And I thought it was a wrong decision to start Ronaldo, but that's just a different point of view. Not start Ronaldo, sorry. But I thought Everton played really well because I didn't have a few injuries. But thought the young boy in the wing, Gordon, looked really, really good. But Damari Gray again and Ross Townsend, what signings have they been like? Superb.
I mean, we've spoke about it in previous weeks, and 1.7 million for Damari Gray, and I think a lot of Everton fans turned their nose up and Ross Townsend.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's fantastic. I think it's going to be interesting just to see how Everton evolve when Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin are back, because that would then be quite an offensive, un-Rafa-like front four. I don't know if he'll get away with Gray, Townsend, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound the type of thing Rafa would do. But I mean, Everton, it's probably one of the games I've watched. I watched the whole game. Managed to have a free house, and I had peace and quiet to actually watch it. And it was a really good game of football. United scored a great goal, and you just think they're going to kick on for there. Everton missing a few players, and even though United had left out Ronaldo and Pogba, that team still should be good enough to win a game like that. Martial and guys. You can have. You could say Ronaldo should start, Pogba should start, but a Man United team of any sort should be winning that game. The longer it goes on at 1-0, Everton get the goal. Fantastic, Damari Gray. I think it was Fred dispossessing, or he'd obviously been on the weights, and then plays in Decore. Decore shows unbelievable composure, slides in Townsend. Townsend's no missing. It's on his swinger, but he's always scoring. And then Man United then bring on the big guns, but there's not a great fluency, and I think it was a sort of follow on for the midweek game.
Yeah.
The European game. I don't think. I don't know if it was Didi Hamann or somebody I saw being quite critical of Man United. My criticism with Man United is that they're relying on individuals.
Yep.
They're relying on their big players to come up for big moments, which is fair enough, but there just doesn't seem to be there doesn't seem to be a plan other than get the ball to Pogba, get the ball to Fernandes, get the ball to Ronaldo, and they'll dig me out. I mean, Bruno dug Man United out a hole so many times last season, and
yeah, he did.
It's we've spoke about it. I still think they're crying out for a dominant centre midfield player, a dominant number 6 that can just control the game and just set a pattern for them. You know, and it's Everton could have won the game if Tom Davis if Tom Davis had any level of confidence. He takes that shot on himself. I think of Tom Davis maybe 2.5 years ago when he was probably playing really well for Everton in the middle of the park. He's no sliding that in. You know, I mean, the more you watch it, you just put your laces through it and batter it in the box.
I think if he'd have passed it straight away, he wouldn't have been offside, but he waited a second till he was offside just. And I thought the Everton goal, Fred had 2 or 3 chances to get the ball away from Gray. He tried to use his strength, man, just foul him or kick out of the park. He's not good enough, Fred. There's McTominay, to be fair, and I like McTominay, but when you get Matic sitting on the bench, who's probably better than both, there's no point in saying he's this age. You start your better players, it's Ronaldo and Paul, but you start your better players, get a 1 and then repeat them.
I think sign Declan Rice and stick him alongside McTominay, and then it's a bit like Declan Rice and the boy at England, Calvin Phillips. I think they would potentially complement each other, you know. But I think that's it for me. That's the signing United should have went for in the summer, because I think next summer when they try to get him, I think they'll be they'll have a bit more competition. I know certainly City will be interested in him, you know. But United, I think there's issues there, undoubtedly.
I just think you look at United's team, but they've got a squad. You say they've got a squad, a team where it's very good, but it's individuals. It's no team play. And Solskjaer's go-to guys seem to be Fred and McTominay, which if you're trying to challenge for stuff, never win stuff, they're not going to get you that far. I'm sorry, but maybe somebody like Norwich or something fighting relegation might help. But being a challenge, you just have to look at other games which we'll go into. Anyway,
so it's mad though. It's like you look at Billy Gilmour, right? Mm-hmm. Billy Gilmour would enhance that Man United midfield.
He would, aye.
And do you know what I mean? Because he's good on the ball. He tries to play forward passes and all that sort of stuff. He's not dominant as such, but Chelsea's not going to loan him to Man United. But I look at him and I think he would offer more than Fred, and he would offer more than Matic.
I just look combined. At the goal Everton got disallowed, but United's defence, 4 guys ran at the same guy. Look, Shaw ran halfway over the park to cover, and you're like, why are you covering for? Because there's 3 guys here. Stay with the man at the back post, and the guy has to take, the boy has to take a shot. No, the goal would win it. The goal at equalised. Townsend doesn't get the pass, but he runs over and Townsend standing himself, and he's like, there's nothing there. And it's all comes to the manager. If you've got a good manager that can coach players, then your team is going to be better. But obviously, Solskjaer and his coaching staff aren't the best, or kind of mid-level, if that. We're going to the next game, which Burnley and Norwich, which I know you thoroughly enjoyed. To be honest with you, I watched the highlights and I thought Burnley deserved to win, but Norwich put in a better display in the half for the last few weeks. But a draw was probably a fair result in the end. I just feel both these teams are not going to get out of relegation trouble this season. I thought Burnley would have, but they're lacking the goals this season, Burnley. I know they'll get the wins every so often, but they seem to be lacking a bit of consistency at the ball in the back of the net.
Norwich defensively, I think they went, it was very much back 3 sort of situation. I think they did defend far better. It was kick it, just it was going away for almost the way. It was back old school defending sort of thing, just launch it. And after you've had a run of results, I suppose you've got to do that. And I mean, it was one of those games I knew that it was going to be low scoring. I had Burnley to win 1-0 in my Super 6 prediction. So the longer it went on 0-0, I was hoping for Big Wood or Jay Rodriguez or somebody to nick a goal. You know,
they missed a couple of really good chances. I just think it's a good point for Norwich because it gives them a bit of confidence back because they have been losing games. So it means they've got a clean sheet, they've got a point. Gives them something to build on. I know Sean Dyche probably say a point's better than nothing, but these are games Burnley's got to win because they wanted.
I think undoubtedly these are the games when you're going to be in that sort of 15th downwards. I mean, that's Norwich played Watford and Burnley in recent weeks, and they've only picked up 1 out of 6 points, sort of thing, you know. So it's going to be a long season for Norwich, but it's a point, and if they can come back after the international break, or another international break. But Norwich's next game is Brighton at home. Now,
Right.
Brighton are doing really, really well.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's a sort of game that Norwich, if they've got any aspirations to try and dig themselves out of it, they need to get 3 points in that game.
I need to at least take something, yeah. We'll go on to our next game, Scott, which is Chelsea Southampton. I thought both these teams actually played well. I thought Chelsea looked really good. Timo Werner looked the best I've seen on Friday. He looks like he's got a bit of confidence back. I'm actually delighted he scored. But Southampton won out in the game until the sending off. I know Chelsea got a goal disallowed as well, which they brought back because I think it was Asper foul the chat. Which
Aye, about
how
10
how
minutes.
far are you going to bring
honest,
stuff back? It's poor.
I watched it and then I watched it again, and I was just like, how far back are you actually? It is probably a foul. I get it, but it frustrates me how far you're actually going to go back. Timo Werner, I heard somebody talking about he's had about 25 goals chopped off for offside in his Chelsea career. It's remarkable. He's a player I want to see doing well. I want to see him scoring goals because I've joked about it. See, when he leaves Chelsea and he signs for Bayern Munich and he scores like 45 goals a season, that's inevitably what's going to happen. But I think with Lukaku, I think that could be a very potent Werner playing for the left-hand side. I think that could be very good for Chelsea.
I think with Lukaku there, it's giving them more space, Werner, because Lukaku's attracting two guys. You've seen one of the goals with the back heeled at Lukaku and it came through, and so he's getting more space. Werner, he's not the main man through the centre, which is taking a bit of pressure off him. And the chances Chelsea create, he should be scoring goals.
Oh, listen, I mean, it's like, I think 3-1 in the end. It's probably on the balance of the way the game went. It was probably a fair result. But for long spells, and like you say, the red card, it's 1-1 at that point.
Was that a red card?
Prowse, Aye. I think it probably is. I think by the letter of the law and what have you, he's just too late.
He's no malice in it, but he has to make that tackle because it's a poor pass.
He has to make the tackle, and I think they spoke about this when they were doing the analysis, that it's one each at the time. If he wins that ball, they could go 2-1 up. You know what I mean? It's on the edge of the box. It's one of those. He's just a split second. There's no malice. He's not that type. I know I've said this, but he's not that type of player. I mean, he's a good Premiership midfield player. And I feel really sorry for him because he's played 102 games or something on the bounce, and he's now going to get a 3-game suspension. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's a shame. He's a player. He's not got a big profile, but he's a really good player. And I think, see, an Everton or I know Aston Villa tried to sign him, but I think he's capable of going to a top 6, 7, 8, even like Spurs. Spurs could be doing with somebody like that in the middle of the park, you know, a bit.
He reminds me of Matthew Letizia. I'm not saying he's as good as Matt Letizia because he was phenomenal, but that type of plays at Southampton, he's really, really good there. Will he move? Will it harm himself? Will it harm his England chances? Because Letizia always had that thrown at him. I don't know if James Ward-Prowse will be the same because, like you say, he could probably improve a lot of other teams in that league, but he's a captain there. He's happy there. He comes from there, so I don't know if moving to somebody else, he might want to do. He might just be happy playing with Southampton.
Do you know the thing for the Chelsea game? It's Loftus-Cheek started. He seems to have got to sell back into Thomas Tuchel's plans. Yeah. Another one, huge talent. He'd had a few injuries. Contributed. He had the assist for Chalobah's goal. I like that boy Chalobah as well. He looks as though he's got a lot of talent. And Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley's another one. Worldy. That was a beautiful goal. Aspilicueta plays it across and Werner gets his goal, and Lukaku's standing behind him raging because he's on for the tap in as well. And I've got Lukaku as my captain in my fantasy football. But
Ross Barkley's one of these guys who should be a better player than he actually is. Just because he's so much talent. And
I think injuries and physical condition and what have you. But I think these guys at the start of the season, you would have looked at Chelsea's midfield and said they're not going to be involved. But to their credit, they're obviously working hard behind the scenes, and I think young English players. That's what Gareth Southgate will be wanting. He'll be wanting A2 to, because it gives him additional players. And I think Chelsea, Kovacic, Jorginho, Kante, I think they need a wee bit different. Yeah. Somebody that's, we speak about it at our own club, and just having 3 sort of functional midfield players. I always think at least one of them should be able to break forward and get goals, or play that killer pass. So I think there's a slot there if they can keep up their form.
I think Chelsea, the most important player I think for them this season will be Mason Mount. I think he offers so much, especially creating, and he's only a young guy as well. But the guy's just phenomenal. You have to give Frank Lampard a bit of credit for bringing him in, especially at the time. I think he was lucky he got the chance, Mason, because at the Chelsea at the time weren't spending, but how well he's took the chance for Chelsea and England. He's a really great player.
He's class. He's just progressing superbly. And I think you're right though. Frank Lampard gave him and Reece James and the boy Tomori obviously got his move to AC Milan off the back of that. Chelsea made 25 million selling him to AC Milan. So that wouldn't have happened with Frank Lampard. So Lampard has, as much as Tuchel has taken it on, and Chelsea are a far better, far more organised. They've got a plan. We talk about Ollie. Solskjaer's very Lampardish to me. Club legends and all that sort of stuff, but just no quite got it.
Aye.
Just know that level.
Kind of go to the next level,
and I think that's Lampard done a good job. Tuchel's taking it on, and Chelsea will be there or thereabouts. Definitely,
they will be. And more at the next game, which is Leeds Watford. For some reason, I thought to myself, this is a banker for Leeds. I don't know why, but highlights Leeds played well. Watford, I know they've changed their manager since this game, but they don't look confident at all, Watford. But they done okay at times, but Leeds are just... They got the goal, which was a very good goal, considering the ball came back to the boy and he had to turn his foot down. But I just thought Leeds are really, like John said last week, Leeds are really good to watch and exciting.
Aye. They're a very good side, and I think they missed Bamford. He obviously he wasn't available, and I think the boy Ayling was missing at the back. It's a game that Leeds, particularly in the first half, 1-0. It should have been more than should have been more than one. Watford started so well, and at the start of the season, it's like. And then they drew with Newcastle, and then they've obviously had a defeat, and then they've parted company with a manager, which is just bonkers. And this game, I think I saw Ben Foster interviewed, and he was quite critical with their performance, and they just didn't. But they almost nicked a point, and obviously the goal chopped off quite rightly at the end, But Watford, a strange, very very inconsistent side. I think they looked so good when they went to Norwich and won, and the attacking players and what have you, but they just weren't on it at all on Saturday. And it was a big win that for Leeds. I think they need, after a big season last year, they need to, as much as they are a lovely side to watch, and Rafinha, big favourite of mine, I think they just need to get some results on the board, just to ease that wee bit of pressure and just get themselves comfortable. I don't think they're in any danger, but it was a big win. Always a big win going into an international break as well.
I have to say, Bielsa right enough, does it change his philosophy? He always goes out to try and play attacking football, and give his credit for Dan James. He looks double the player he was at United, because he's using them a slightly different. He's not just telling him, run up and down that wing and do a sod all. He's using them quite well, and I just think Leeds will be fine, because they're solid. All about the part. They'll not get people who maybe stand out, but they'll be fine. Watford, I mean, there's a time coming in, Ranieri. Will he be good enough to move that? But I don't know. I don't know what he'll do there, because I think
I don't know what the owners at Watford are wanting. I honestly, it's head scratching stuff. Ranieri done well at Leicester, won them the Premiership. That'll never be forgotten. Done well at Chelsea. He's jumped from club to club to club. I don't see that ending in what are we, October 2021.
Yeah.
I think if we're recording in a year's time, if Ranieri's still the Watford manager, I'll be very surprised. Just because that's just the nature. They've just went through. They've just went through that cycle over the last 3 or 4 years, and I don't know what the owners are wanting. You know,
I think you maybe look at Leicester and think we should be equivalent to Leicester, but it's very hard because Leicester's built for the last few years done really well. Watford's had more managers, I think, than anybody in the English Football League over the past few years. It's just constantly changed. Don't give anybody time to stamp their own mark on the team.
You know, and it's just continual compensation for new managers. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I just surely you want. I get you want to aim as high as possible, but surely you want to stabilise yourself as a Premiership club, and then right, we're finishing 15th and 16th, and then we want to maybe finish 10th to 12th, and then you want to try and get into the top 10 and just progress from there. But they seem to
walk before you can run. Yeah, I understand that.
Definitely.
The fans will probably think the same. Must be awful being a Watford fan, up and down like a yo-yo. We're going to our next game, which is Wolves and Newcastle. Thought Wolves are starting to look good after a bad start to the season, but don't know if it's coincidence because the boy at the front's back. Have you seen him again?
Aye, right. Jimenez.
Yeah, Jimenez has set up 2 goals, which were really well taken goals. Newcastle scored for Hendricks, which is actually a very good strike, but I feel so sorry for Steve Bruce because he's getting no luck whatsoever there, and I think the legs are on his back very badly there. I don't know if he will be able to last much longer.
No, I think we spoke about Wolves, and I think they've brought the South Korean Hwang in, and he took his goals lovely. And I think they needed a spark. They needed something different. And I think those two combined fantastically well. 2 great finishes, 2 great assists for Jimenez. He's got his superpowers that he's taken his protective his thing off his head.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he showed it's remarkable given what he's went through to come back and be contributing so well. So I'd say big win for Wolves. I think very, very important. But I think they've got Wolves will be fine.
Yeah.
As long as this continues with regard to the boys creating and scoring goals, and I think Jimenez will get his goals as well. You know, so Newcastle are they need Callum Wilson. They need to get San Maximin out wide. They're playing him as a false 9. You look at their recent games, they should have won at Watford. They should probably have got something out of the game on potentially got something out of the game on Saturday. You know, he's under a lot of pressure. You know, I saw a survey, it was Newcastle Supporters Trust, like a snap survey, and it was like 95% of the people who had responded wanted shot of him. Yeah. But Mike Ashley, there's always money with Mike Ashley.
Yeah,
there's big compensation if they sack him. But Mike Ashley's also got the flip side that he's trying to sell the club, and the people buying the club are only going to buy the club if they remain in the Premier League.
Right.
So I think I was watching Sky, and the boy Keith Downey, who's a local reporter, he was talking about it, and he says he thinks the next couple of games for Newcastle will be massive, and it might force Ashley into making a decision on Steve Bruce. But who goes in?
Steve Bruce, I was going to say, who did they place him with?
Who goes in? Aye.
You're going to go into a job where Mike Ashley's going to be your boss, basically, which isn't the best situation. But then you get new owners who might not want you there in the first place. So you're going to go in asking for, like, if I'm only going to be here for 6 months, I want that much money up front, and I want that much money if I keep us in the Premiership.
They'll end up with Sam Allardyce or Tony Pulis with a £2 million. A £2 million bonus for keeping them in the league, sort of thing. You know, you joke about it, but Newcastle, there's just so much wrong with them. And for Steve Bruce's own sanity and his own health, it would actually go and just put him out of his misery and actually just let the guy, like,
Steve Bruce will get a job elsewhere because he's a half decent manager. He does what he does, and he's not the worst manager out there. I just feel anybody at Newcastle is going to find it difficult.
Their next two fixtures are Spurs at home and Crystal Palace away. And then they've got Chelsea at home. So they've got two home games
I think
against...
they'll be lucky if they get 1 point out of the next 3. Because Spurs have had a bit of form. Palace are really playing well at home and they're not going to beat Chelsea.
Yeah, looking at our next few fixtures, there's none of them are gimmies, shall we say. But troubled times for Newcastle.
And we're going to the Brighton Arsenal game. I watched most of this and I have to say it's quite an entertaining game. I thought both teams played well. I'm actually quite impressed with Brighton. How well they play. They pass it about well, don't they? Graham Potter's got a good foundation there. They play well, they've got a good shape. The interchange in the midfield and up front, and at the back they're strong. They've got 3 big boys at the back. I know one's Duffy, but he doesn't seem out of place there.
He looks like Sergio Ramos, man.
But it doesn't seem out of place. It's because he's putting up his strength. He just plays them there, win the header, kick the ball away defensively, don't play the 40, 50 yard passes.
100%. I said that even when he was going through his car crash last season, that, you know, playing in a 3 is very different to playing in a 2, and you're the expectation that he's just there to defend and he can pop up with a goal at the other end, sort of thing, you know. But Brighton's a good side. Brighton should probably have won this game, to be fair.
He should have.
Old problems with regard to putting the ball in the back of the net. Arsenal.
I thought Ramsdale played well for them.
He did, which is, I mean, again, it's a clean sheet, I suppose, for the Arsenal. They're trying to obviously get that back 5 solidified, sort of thing. So it's not a bad point.
Especially for the abuse he took and the club took for saying he's not good enough for us. The boy looks a decent goalie. If
Arsenal have got any aspirations to hit European football, they're the sort of games you really need to be going away and nicking a 1-0 or what have you, you know. But it just continues Brighton's good start to the season.
I think Graham Potter's one of the names he'll be in the frame for jobs coming up, because he's done really well at the clubs he's been with. You can see he's got a good philosophy, he's got a good backroom staff there. And it reminds me about Brendan Rodgers, to be honest with you, the way he sets his teams out. And I know Newcastle jobs coming up, I don't know if he would take that, because if Brighton's a more secure job and a more attractive job at the moment than Newcastle's, even though Newcastle you'd probably say are a bigger club.
I think you're looking at your Arsenals, you know. Arsenal, if Arteta doesn't last, I think Tottenham.
Man United.
I think Arsenal, Tottenham. We'll obviously we'll go on and talk about Leicester. You know, I mean, it's going to be a difficult season for them, but we will go on to that. But they're a good side, and he's a very promising manager, and I think he'll move on from there to a bigger club. That's undoubted.
I think he was linked with Spurs, wasn't he? And Brighton said they rejected the approach, so you can see why they rejected the approach, because he's an up-and-coming manager with a lot of quality. So we're going to our Palace Leicester game. And Leicester 2-0 up, but give Palace a credit. They fought back again, and for some reason, they started the season not great. Obviously, Patrick Vieira just come into the job, and it was a case of getting things organised, getting his own mark down. And since maybe I think it was a draw. Was it beating Spurs? And they come back and beat Spurs. They beat Spurs 3-0. I think that seems to be the thing that's turned it over, because they're getting the goals, they're scoring goals, and they're playing really well. And you look at this team and you think there's not a lot there that stands out. But I know they've got Boyd Gallagher, they've got Edward, they've got a couple of other players, but I have to say Vieira's done really well. He surprised me getting there and doing as well at the start. And Leicester 2-0 up, you would say, right, that's the game over, you should win this, but they're struggling, Leicester, for some reason.
They can't defend. They just can't defend. You know, Fofana, Johnny Evans, the boy Sonshu is playing centre half. I think good centre half if he's got somebody man marking him. He needs somebody there with him that's dominant, that holds his hand. I think he looks like he doesn't look a good defender when he's there himself. But Leicester 2-0, the two strikers get their goals. You're thinking home and hosed. Leicester under Rodgers over the last 2 or 3 years would have seen that game through, because you would have had the solidity at the back and Didi in the middle of the park. I think that's a big issue. They need to get Fofana's out for a while, but they need to get Evans back. They need to get Ndidi back in the middle of the park. Middle to front, they're always going to create. Tielemans and Iheanacho, Vardy, Barnes, Maddison. You know, they've got loads of the boy Adam Lookman. They've got him as well. So middle to front, I think they're fine, but they just need to get players back and defend. But huge credit to Crystal Palace. I had my doubts about the appointment of Patrick Vieira, I must confess. I think it was one that took a while to be announced. I think they had went through a few candidates before they reached. I think Eddie Howe was mentioned and a few others, you know. And I always just have a doubt over these guys that were world-class players, that they're not always going to be world-class managers.
Oh, yeah, right.
That was Leicester. Palace for me is a club that needed a lot of aging players, load of players coming to the end of their contracts, and so he's brought in a bit of youth and a bit of you know, they just look quite a very different sort of side, you know. Yeah, whereas Roy Hodgson done a good job, but it looks as though Vieira, given time, and I think he probably will get time for the owner there. I think he'll do a decent job at Palace. They're never going to be top 8, but no. I think they're always going to be in that sort of mid. If they can solidify themselves in the middle, I think that will be a good solid season for Patrick Vieira.
Leicester's the same. I think they'll be fine, but the fans are going to have to appreciate they're never going to be challenging every year, because one, they're not going to make up in the squad, because every time they get a decent player, they might have to sell them off, and two, any injuries, the squad gets impacted as well. So I think it's hard to criticise Leicester, and I think Brendan Rodgers has to watch. He doesn't stay there, overstay there, because then he's just, I don't know, I can't remember the word, but he's in the game, people look at him and say he's done really well there, but he stayed there over and staying it. He might not get.
Well, I think it's like they've in recent years they've won the league, not with him, but they've won the league. They've been knocking on the door, top 4. They've made the Champions League. They've done okay in the Europa Cup, League. They've won the FA Cup. They've won the Charity Shield. You know, it's sometimes there's you move at the right time, sort of thing, and I think it could be. I'm not saying overstaying his welcome, but there's some of the players that have been big for them, aren't they quite? Vardy's coming to the end. Maddison's not kicked his own backside, and that sort of thing, you know. So I knew it was going to be a harder season for Leicester, but if they can get the defensive players in Didi and Evans back, I think they will start to pick up.
Yeah. We're going to the next game, Spurs and Villa. I thought this was probably going to end a draw, maybe Villa would nick it, but I'm actually quite happy to see Spurs get the win, because I was actually feeling a bit sorry for Nuno, the pressure he was under. And watching the game, Spurs actually were attacking like they have done in the past. They actually played quite well. I know it was 2-1, but I thought Spurs looked their old self. They played football.
Son, we've spoke about Son. I think we spoke about it last week. How he's a top player, and he was the star performer. You know, and if they can get him and Kane firing again, you know, they'll win. They'll win more games than they'll lose, undoubtedly. You know, I mean, there is still issues there, but it was a massive result that for Spurs. I think Spurs needed the result more than Villa, if that makes sense, you know. But because Villa obviously are just off the back of a great result at Old Trafford, but big win for Spurs, and just have to see how they come back after the international break.
I think Son at the moment in time is the most important player for Spurs. I know we talked about Kane. Kane's heads hasn't been in it since the start of the season, and Son's a man that makes him tick. He's a man that gets you off your seat as well. Villa, under Dean Smith, will be fine. They look good. They look a solid side, and they're going to take points off everybody in the league if they can play to the potential they've got. So they'll be fine this season.
Definitely.
What our next game, West Ham Brentford. A lot of folk thought this was a surprise result, but the way Brentford have started this season, was it a surprise?
No, this was always my concern with West Ham having Europa League football. That the Thursday, Sunday, it's still very early in the season, but West Ham had a positive result on Thursday night. They're probably going to qualify, so that might actually help them in the league, as they might have already qualified Europa League. But Brentford's probably one of the last sides you want to play after a Europa League. So the result wasn't a massive surprise for me. But I'm sure that it's West Ham. I think they've won their 2 Europa League games on the Thursday and they've lost their league game. I think they lost to United 2-1 and then they lost to Brentford. So if that happens 6 times, do you know what I mean? This is the whole thing. I said this at the start of the season. Antonio was playing on a Thursday. Antonio was playing on a Sunday. You know, can his body handle that sort of schedule, sort of thing? You know, but Brentford, there's always one of the teams that get promoted. You know, Sheffield United done it 2 or 3 years ago, and they finished 7th or something like that. It's not out with the bounds of possibility that Brentford could do similar. I mean, they've had a fantastic start to the season and a brilliant result against West Ham on Sunday.
Yeah, both teams have started the season well. Brentford play with so much the press you really high up the park. They play with a high tempo. They pass at a high tempo. They've not got a pattern. They play both sides of the park down both flanks, but they've got boys up front that can finish. And even they bring in, this is the second time this boy's come off the bench, Wisher, against a big clubs, as we say, and scores. And then he nearly scored the winner against Liverpool, but he only scored the equaliser. Then he scored the winner the other day. So that's a big confidence boost for him. And having somebody on the bench, I know folk were saying it maybe needs a start now, but sometimes people play better coming off the bench than they do starting games.
Aye, undoubtedly. I mean, it's like they could have beaten Liverpool, you know, and then they've went to West Ham and they've already beaten Arsenal this season. You know, I mean, they're taking their scalps. And as I said before, none of their players are what you would call household names. You know, they're just a well scouted with regard to the sort of philosophy that they've got there. Yeah. They just play the game the right way, and I think they've added something to the Premier League this season, undoubtedly, which is you want teams coming up. You want teams coming up to do that. I mean, they came up through the playoffs, which is always hard to do because it doesn't give you a lot of time to sort of prepare for the Premier League. But you know, they've started off fantastically well, and I can see them being in a position by Christmas where they're pretty much safe, and it'll take a car crash in the second half of the season for them not to still be in the league.
I think the only things our fans are probably hoping for is it doesn't draw attention to a lot of the players who end up getting bids in the end of the season from the bigger clubs and leaving, because that's usually what happens to clubs like that. And
I mean, I said last week, Ivan Toney, Spurs should have been going, there's 35-40 million. I'll just use Spurs as an example. Arsenal, any of these clubs, you know, it's like, and he's now started the season fantastically well, as everybody knew that he would. And you know, Brentford are rubbing their hands because the fee that they paid for him, they'll make 3, 4, 5 times when they do. And I think he's knocking on the door of England as well.
I actually enjoyed the game. If Brentford on TV, I'll probably watch them because they're a good side to watch.
Leeds against Brentford. Leeds against Brentford would be a great game of football to watch.
Hopefully Sky show that one. They probably won't, but hopefully they do. But we're going to our last game, which is probably a match of the weekend. Liverpool Man City. Now, I didn't watch it live, but I've watched the highlights, and I have to say, I thought Man City should have won the game, but Liverpool, you kind of knock back, and with somebody like Salah in the park, it's always difficult to keep him away from your goal, either creating or scoring, because the guy's just phenomenal. But I thought City played really well, but I don't know if I'm still lacking that out-and-out striker.
That's exactly what I was going to say, and I've spoke about it in previous weeks. I think they're playing great football. You know, there was when they're doing the analysis on it, you're watching it. You know, ball played into the middle, and it's like you're relying on De Bruyne or Grealish or whoever to be that runner. That's not their game. You know, I think in 75% of the games they'll be fine, but I suppose City will look at it and say that's them been to Chelsea and they've been to Liverpool and obviously they had the Champions League in the middle of it, and they've picked up 4 points for 2 very tough away games. So they've now got the 2 fixtures out the road. They don't have to go to Chelsea. They don't have to go to Liverpool again. They've got United probably in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
So by the turn of the year, City will have already played their top 4 contenders, sort of thing, and then they'll probably take care of pretty much everybody else at home, you know. But Liverpool, Salah, frightening.
Yes.
He's just. I'd love to know what the contract situation is there. What he's looking for. Does he want to stay? You know, because I think
Some
he's
people are
massive.
saying he's looking for 400,000. Some say it's not as much as that, but I don't know.
Listen, he's one of the top players. He's probably the top player in the league with De Bruyne. I would probably say. I think they're probably the top players when De Bruyne is at it. But Salah, I mean, his goal record is just. I mean, that goal's just his feet. You've seen it. How many times have you seen him actually in the? It's one of those. Could you defend better? He just does it to.
You know what you're going to do, but you can't stop it.
You can't stop it. You know, it's brilliant, and I think probably a draw over the piece. Probably a fair result.
I stuck a £5 on it and get £22.50 back, so I was happy.
Probably a fair result. The thing for the game that stuck out for me was the James Milner, how he managed to stay on the park.
Yeah.
He should have been setting jello in the first half, and then he does it again in the second half. And no wonder Guardiola's doing his nut.
I mean, you turn around and say, is it because he's got a good reputation of being a honest pro and nice guy, but then VAR doesn't do its job? You're paying for something that doesn't work, because who's making the decision? Is it somebody watching it or somebody telling the referee to double check it and the referee's thinking, no, it's fine? Because
I mean, what is it they say? Clear and obvious.
Yeah.
Aye, you've made a mistake. It's clear and obvious that you've made a mistake. So it's, and I think, would that have changed it? The funny thing is, as soon as Milner should have been sent off, they brought on Joe Gomez because Klopp knew that they had got away with one.
I know.
You know, but good game of football. I only saw the highlights because obviously we were at Ibrox, but good game, and 2-2. You know, that's the sort of games you want for the top sides. You want to see goals, and you want to see a bit of football, and I think particularly the second half, it was a cracking game.
It was. Well, that's all the games covered. I've not missed any, I don't think so. That's the games covered for this week. So we'll be back after the international football's finished, which isn't great at times, but we'll be back after that. So thanks for listening, chaps. Goodbye.